There's something magical about a road that refuses to fade away. Route 66 was America's front porch, a ribbon of asphalt stretching 2,448 miles from Chicago to the Santa Monica coast, connecting dreamers, families, and adventurers. It was practically built for adventure, where 1 mile you're exploring quirky museums packed with history, and the next you're pulling into a vintage gas station that feels frozen in time. Along this legendary highway, giant rocking chairs stand taller than buildings. Vintage neon glows long after sunset, and a massive blue whale waits beside a quiet pond. It's a place where you can grab a bite at a historic diner, tackle a legendary steak challenge at the Big Texan, and watch the sun set over the colorful spray-painted cars of Cadillac Ranch. Even though Route 66 was decommissioned as a continuous highway in 1985, its spirit is alive and well, and most of it is still completely drivable today. So fill up the tank, grab your sunglasses, and roll down the windows. Join us as we cross 8 states and count down the most iconic Route 66 stops that made America's Mother Road a thing of legend. Number 1. Wilmington Gemini Giant. As usual, we'll be starting this trip in Wilmington, Illinois, home of one of the most recognizable landmarks on all of Route 66, the Gemini Giant. This towering fiberglass astronaut first appeared in 1965 outside the Launching Pad Drive-In, a classic roadside restaurant that embraced America's fascination with the space age during the height of the Gemini space program. The restaurant's owners transformed a standard fiberglass advertising figure into a space-themed giant, complete with a helmet and rocket. What makes the Gemini Giant especially significant is that it's part of a famous family of roadside figures known as the Muffler Men. International Fiberglass produced these massive fiberglass statues during the 60s and 70s. Soon they were popular advertising tools along America's highways because they could be seen from a great distance and help businesses stand out. Because it was such a showstopper, over the decades, countless Route 66 travelers photographed the Giant, right before grabbing a meal at the launching pad while they were there. As many Muffler Men disappeared over the years, the Gemini Giant survived and became one of the most photographed and beloved icons on the Mother Road. After the launching pad entered a prolonged closure, the statue was auctioned in early 2024 for a winning bid of $275,000 and preserved by the Joliet Area Historical Museum. Today, the Gemini Giant stands proudly at the entrance of South Island Park in Wilmington, beautifully restored and welcoming a new generation of travelers. Number 2. Route 66 Museum in Pontiac. Our next stop takes us to Pontiac, Illinois, home to one of the most respected Route 66 museums anywhere along the Mother Road. The Route 66 Association of Illinois Hall of Fame and Museum is packed with thousands of artifacts, photographs, and pieces of memorabilia that tell the story of America's most famous highway and the people who traveled it. The museum is housed inside Pontiac's historic firehouse, adding an extra layer of authenticity to the experience. It officially opened in Pontiac in 2004 after the Illinois Route 66 Hall of Fame was relocated from its previous home, giving the collection a permanent place to grow and welcome visitors from around the world. Visitors can see exhibits dedicated to famous Route 66 artist and preservationist Bob Waldmeyer, including his iconic Road Yacht Bus, while learning how the highway shaped communities across Illinois and beyond. And honestly, if you're driving Route 66, make time for at least 1 or 2 museums like this. There are many Route 66 museums scattered across the route, so taking the time to visit 1 or 2 of them is a must. Number 3. Cozy Dog Restaurant. The first iconic food stop along Route 66 is the Cozy Dog Drive-In in Springfield, Illinois. The Cozy Dog is widely recognized as the birthplace of the hot dog on a stick that would later become known across America as the corn dog. Founder Ed Waldmeyer Jr. developed the concept during and shortly after World War II, refining a batter-coated hot dog that could be deep-fried quickly and served on a stick. He introduced the Cozy Dog in Springfield in 1946, before opening the Cozy Dog Drive-In along Route 66 in 1949. As Route 66 grew into America's most famous highway, travelers flocked to roadside businesses that offered something unique. And the Cozy Dog fit that description perfectly. The restaurant remained family-owned, continued serving the original recipe, and filled its walls with Route 66 memorabilia. Number 4. Gateway Arch, Missouri. The Gateway Arch in St. Louis, Missouri rises 630 feet above the Mississippi River and serves as one of the most recognizable landmarks in America. The monument was designed by architect Eero Saarinen and was built between 1963 and 1965 as the centerpiece of the Jefferson National Expansion Memorial, now known as Gateway Arch National Park, a site originally created to commemorate the nation's westward expansion and St. Louis's historic role as the gateway to the West. The stainless steel structure remains the tallest arch in the world and the tallest monument in the United States. Visitors can ride a unique tram system to an observation area near the top, where sweeping views stretch across Missouri and Illinois. Its popularity grew quickly after completion, becoming a defining image of St. Louis and one of the most visited attractions in the Midwest. For Route 66 travelers, the Gateway Arch marks a memorable transition point on the journey. Number 5. Merrimack Caverns. From the top of St. Louis, we're going deep beneath the hills of Missouri to one of the most famous natural attractions on Route 66, the Merrimack Caverns. Located near Stanton, Missouri, this enormous cave system has been drawing visitors for generations. The caverns were formed over millions of years through the erosion of limestone deposits and contain some of the largest and most spectacular cave formations in the region. According to the attraction's operators, the caves were once used as a hideout by the outlaw Jesse James and his gang. Its popularity exploded during the golden age of Route 66 thanks to owner Lester B. Dill, who promoted the attraction with thousands of distinctive barn advertisements painted across the Midwest and South. Those signs became one of the most successful roadside advertising campaigns in American history and helped turn Merrimack Caverns into a must-see stop for generations of road trippers. Number 6. Chain of Rocks Bridge. The Chain of Rocks Bridge is located on the border between Missouri and Illinois, just north of St. Louis. Originally built in 1929, this massive steel bridge carried Route 66 travelers across the Mississippi River from 1936 until the late 1960s, becoming one of the most memorable crossings on the entire Mother Road. What made it legendary was its bizarre 22-degree bend halfway across the river. Engineers were forced to design the bend to avoid the river's rocky shoals and nearby water intake structures, creating a bridge unlike any other in America. At the peak, millions of travelers crossed here on their journey west, and the bridge quickly became woven into the mythology of the highway itself. Its narrow lanes and sharp mid-span turn made the crossing both exciting and nerve-wracking, especially for truck drivers. Even after a newer bridge replaced it in 1966, the old Chain of Rocks Bridge survived and eventually became a pedestrian landmark, helping preserve one of Route 66's most recognizable pieces of history. Number 7. Wagon Wheel Motel. The Wagon Wheel Motel is one of the oldest continuously operating motels on Route 66, and it's located in Cuba, Missouri. First opened in the mid-1930s, the Wagon Wheel quickly became a favorite overnight stop for travelers making the long journey across America. What made the property stand out was its classic stone cottages, neon signs, and welcoming roadside atmosphere. The property was originally established by Robert W. Martin, who partnered with master stonemason Leo Friesenhand to construct individual Ozark stone cabins arranged around a courtyard. This layout offered motorists both comfort and privacy at a time when auto tourism was booming across the country. Number 8. You Drop In Tower Station. The historic Conoco Tower Station in Shamrock, Texas, is one of the most photographed gas stations on Route 66. Built in 1936, this striking Art Deco station quickly became one of the defining roadside symbols of the Mother Road. It's instantly recognizable thanks to the unique design, with its tower, geometric architecture, and glowing neon lights creating an unmistakable image for travelers crossing the Texas Panhandle. Originally known as the Tower Station and You Drop In Cafe, the complex was built during the Great Depression by local businessman James Tyndall as a way to attract motorists traveling Route 66. As automobile tourism exploded in the 1930s and 1940s, the station became a hugely popular rest stop where travelers could refuel and grab a bite to eat before continuing west. Even today, the restored station remains one of the most iconic surviving Route 66 landmarks. Its distinctive design was one of the real-life Route 66 inspirations that helped shape the world of Pixar's Car. Number 9. The Rocker in Fanning. Our next stop takes us to one of the quirkiest roadside attractions on Route 66, called the Giant Rocking Chair in Fanning, Missouri. Standing more than 40 feet tall, this massive steel rocking chair earned recognition from Guinness World Records as the world's largest rocking chair when it debuted in 2008. Though it has since been dethroned by an even larger chair in Illinois, the Route 66 Red Rocker remains a legendary must-see photo stop for travelers cruising the Mother Road. It's located just outside the Fanning 66 Outpost, which sells Route 66 souvenirs and memorabilia, helping transform the stop into a popular gathering place for tourists exploring Missouri's stretch of the highway. Number 10. Canotex Gas Station. The Canotex gas station in Galena, Kansas is one of the most beloved Route 66 landmarks in the state. Originally built in the 1930s during the golden age of American road travel, it was meticulously restored with vintage gas pumps, restored signage, and classic architecture that feels frozen in time. One of the most famous attractions here is an old tow truck that helped inspire the character Mater after Pixar researchers traveled Route 66 gathering ideas for the movie. Following the film's success, the truck was playfully named Tow-Tater. And that connection turned the Canotex station into a major destination for both Route 66 travelers and movie fans alike, helping breathe new life into one of the highway's most iconic roadside stops. Number 11. The Eisler Brothers Old Riverton Store. In Riverton, Kansas, the Eisler Brothers Old Riverton Store, now operating as Nelson's Old Riverton Store, stands as one of the most authentic surviving pieces of Route 66 history. The store first opened in 1925, just 1 year before Route 66 was officially established, which means it has been serving travelers and local residents since the very beginning of the Mother Road era. Today it remains one of the oldest continuously operating businesses along the route. Visitors can still browse the old wooden floors, vintage merchandise displays, and a historic deli counter underneath a beautiful pressed tin ceiling that help recreate the atmosphere of a classic early 20th century general store. That's because the store almost never changed, and the building was added to the National Register of Historic Places and has become an important stop for travelers seeking an authentic connection to Route 66's past. Number 12. The Blue Whale. This giant blue whale that sits in a small pond just off the Mother Road is the pride of the small town of Catoosa. The attraction was built by Hugh Davis in the early 1970s as an anniversary gift for his wife Zelta, who collected whale figurines. Construction began in 1970, and the whale was completed in 1972. What started as a personal gift soon evolved into a popular swimming and picnic destination for local families and Route 66 travelers alike. Though today it is preserved strictly as a historic site, and swimming is no longer permitted. Unlike many roadside attractions that were built to advertise a business, this one was created purely out of affection and imagination. As Route 66 nostalgia grew, the whale became an international symbol of the quirky roadside culture that made the highway famous. Years of weather and neglect eventually took a toll on the structure, but restoration efforts helped bring the attraction back to life. Hugh Davis's family, along with preservation groups and volunteers, worked to repair and preserve the whale so future generations could continue enjoying it. Number 13. Cadillac Ranch. This unusual art installation was created in 1974 by the art collective Ant Farm and funded by Texas businessman Stanley Marsh III. The artist buried 10 Cadillac automobiles nose first into the ground, positioning them at a steep angle meant to mirror the Great Pyramid of Giza, creating a monument that celebrated both American car culture and the evolution of the Cadillac tail fin. What makes Cadillac Ranch so legendary is that visitors are encouraged to become part of the artwork itself. Almost from the beginning, people began leaving messages, signatures, and layers of spray paint on the cars. Over time, the Cadillacs transformed into a constantly changing canvas, with each visitor adding something new to the display. Today, millions of visitors stop here every year, making it one of the most recognizable landmarks not just on Route 66, but in the entire American Southwest. Number 14. The Big Texan. Our next stop brings us to Amarillo, Texas, where the Big Texan Steak Ranch is. The restaurant was founded by R.J. Bob Lee in 1960 along the historic highway, catering to travelers crossing the Texas Panhandle. What truly made the Big Texan legendary, however, was its famous 72-ounce steak challenge. According to the restaurant, participants must eat a 72-ounce steak along with a shrimp cocktail, baked potato, salad, and dinner roll in 1 hour. If they finish everything within the time limit, the meal is free. The challenge was introduced in 1962 after the owner threw a competition for local stockyard cowboys to see who could eat the most. And the winner successfully devoured that exact combination of food in an hour. As word spread through newspapers, television programs, and later the internet, the challenge attracted visitors from around the world eager to test their appetites. Number 15. Adrian's Midpoint Sign. The tiny town of Adrian, Texas holds one of the most meaningful landmarks on all of Route 66. Standing along the roadside is the famous Midpoint sign, marking the halfway point between Chicago, Illinois, and Los Angeles, California. The sign proudly announces that travelers are 1,139 miles from both ends of the Mother Road, making it one of the most photographed locations on the entire route. Because of that, stopping for a photo has become a Route 66 tradition, with countless visitors posing beside the sign to document their progress. Number 16. Tucumcari's TP Curios. Tucumcari, New Mexico is home to TP Curios, one of the most colorful roadside shops on Route 66. Originally built in 1944 by Darrell Lee Stafford as a Gulf oil gas station and grocery store, the business later became famous around 1959 to 1960 when its iconic concrete TP entrance was added after Route 66 was widened and the gas pumps were removed. At night, the glowing neon sign became one of the most recognizable sights in Tucumcari, helping turn the business into a symbol of classic roadside Americana. As automobile travel boomed after World War II, the shop became a must-visit stop for travelers searching for Native American crafts, souvenirs, and photographs beneath the famous neon teepee. Even today, TP Curios remains one of the best-preserved reminders of the vibrant roadside culture that once defined Route 66. Number 17. The Wigwam Motel. Originally opened in 1950 by motel owner Chester Lewis using a patented design by architect Frank Redford, the Wigwam Motel has become an unforgettable roadside attraction famous for its concrete teepee-shaped rooms that allowed travelers to quite literally sleep inside a wigwam. At a time when Route 66 businesses were competing for attention with bigger and bolder attractions, the Wigwam Motel stood out as one of the most creative lodging concepts anywhere along the highway. Families driving west would stop not only because they needed a room for the night, but because staying inside a giant teepee became part of the adventure itself. Its fame grew even further after inspiring the Cozy Cone Motel in Pixar's animated film Cars, introducing a whole new generation to this iconic piece of roadside Americana. Number 18. Winslow's The Standing on the Corner Park. Standing on the Corner Park is a small downtown park that became legendary because of the hit 1972 song Take It Easy by the Eagles, which famously mentions standing on a corner in Winslow, Arizona. Although Winslow had once been a thriving Route 66 railroad town, the construction of Interstate 40 caused tourism and traffic through the town to decline sharply in the late 20th century. In an effort to revive the town's connection to Route 66, local leaders created Standin' on the Corner Park in the late 1990s as a tribute to the song and the town's place in American pop culture. The site features a bronze statue, murals, and a permanently parked flatbed Ford truck that brings the song's famous lyrics to life. So it seems like Winslow actually succeeded in bringing tourists, because today, thousands of travelers stop here every year just to recreate the famous scene for themselves. Number 19. Roy's Motel and Cafe. Roy's Motel and Cafe in the tiny town of Amboy, California is another one of Route 66's most iconic attractions. Originally opened in 1938 by Roy and Velma Crowell, Roy's quickly became a critical rest stop for travelers crossing the long, isolated desert stretch between Los Angeles and Arizona. At a time when Route 66 was packed with motorists heading west, the cafe, motel, gas station, and repair shop offered fuel, food, and a place to escape the brutal desert heat. Roy's neon sign, erected in 1959, is recognized everywhere because so many travelers photographed it and made it synonymous with Route 66. Number 20. Elmer Long's Bottle Tree Ranch. Elmer's Bottle Tree Ranch in Oro Grande was created by artist Elmer Long around the year 2000. It features hundreds of trees made from welded metal poles covered in colorful glass bottles that shimmer and whistle in the desert wind. Elmer transformed discarded junk, antique bottles, road signs, and scrap metal into a massive open-air art installation unlike anything else along the Mother Road. The inspiration came from Long's childhood trips into the desert with his father, where the two collected old bottles and forgotten objects scattered across abandoned mining camps and ghost towns. After inheriting part of that collection, Long began building bottle trees, eventually creating an entire forest of them beside historic Route 66. Number 21. End of the trail sign on the Santa Monica Pier. After the iconic Bottle Tree Ranch, we come to the end of our journey. The final stop brings us to Santa Monica, California, home of the iconic End of the Trail sign, which symbolically marks the western end of Route 66. This location marks the symbolic western terminus of Route 66, which was established in 1926 as part of the original U.S. highway system connecting Chicago to Southern California. By 1936, the highway was officially extended and recognized as ending in the Los Angeles-Santa Monica area, turning this coastline into the ultimate destination for travelers of the Mother Road. The modern end of the trail marker on the pier was installed in 2009 to celebrate that legacy and give travelers a clear, picturesque place to mark the completion of their cross-country journey. Even though we could do a full documentary on Route 66 attractions, if you visit the landmarks we listed in this video, you will not feel like you missed out on anything. But as always, the Mother Road is overflowing with quirky attractions. So if you'd like to make your road trip a lot longer and more interesting, you can definitely do that.